Here's another selection of DIYs that have been driving me nuts. We had a short break on Friday as I went to Grand Designs Live, and now I'm back and we're here for another episode. Enjoy! Another thing that's been driving me nuts. Here are all of my tools that are caked on with various types of product. I put them in this bucket last night with this water so that I can try to see how much of this I can actually get off. I have this old scrubbing brush that I use for quite a lot of different DIY jobs, and I used that to see if I could get most of the bits off. It did prove to be a little bit tricky, and I ended up using just some of the other items to scratch off some of the larger bits. I think it's safe to say that I have not really been taking good care of my tools. Tools like this are not especially cheap, so it is a good idea to wash them immediately after you've used them to prevent any product from drying on them. But Captain Hindsight wins again. Once I'd washed them all down as much as I could, I drained out the majority of the water. I did this carefully because I don't want any of the bits that have collected at the bottom to go down the drain. It clogs up the drain, and I'd rather empty it out somewhere that I can put it into the bin. I usually strain the water through a DIY sieve. That's basically a kitchen sieve that I have repurposed for all of my DIY needs. A couple of these tools really were just too far gone. I didn't mind too much because these cost a few pounds a number of years ago. But I do hate throwing things away. I'd rather not if I don't have to. For some of the tools, I needed to actually chip off the really dried on bits with a hammer. What's dried on here is old plaster. The hammer method actually works pretty well. After I'd chipped all the bits off with a hammer, I needed to give them another wash in my big bucket. Oh, I forgot about this bit. I wanted to show you just how much stuff was coming off when I scraped it. Oh, so much. This is so embarrassing. I need to be kinder to my tools. You'll notice they're also quite rusty and marked. After I fully wash them, I will put them out to dry in the sun. I will give them a rub down with some wire wool to try and get rid of some of the rust, and then apply some sort of oil to stop the metal from continuing to rust. Here my tools are, having a little sunbathe. They're having a more relaxing day than I am. To make sure that they dried properly, I propped as many of them up as I could to make sure that there was some good air circulation so that the sun could reach them. And they'll be dry in probably less than an hour. I have these cycling glasses, but I never wear them because I don't like the colour. So I'm going to get some spray paint. I'm going to spray the colour of these arms so that I actually wear them. Luckily, they come apart, so it's going to be possible for me to spray paint them any colour I like. I'll be able to take some of these parts apart, give them a light sand, and get spraying. Another fiddly job to be doing with one hand. I do this in the garden because the spray that comes out of these cans are not very good for your lungs. I stuck down some old newspaper because I don't really want my grass being painted red. This part contains 2 rubber bits for the nose rest. I don't want to spray paint these bits because the colour will end up just rubbing off against my face. So that bit will have to stay green, and for it to stay green, I have to take them off. Turns out this definitely wasn't something I could do with one hand. So I prop my camera up on my tripod and pop them off. I decided not to bother sanding the plastic because it wasn't all that smooth. which made me think that the spray would probably have a good surface to adhere to. This is the colour that I picked. I picked it simply because I already had it in the house. I didn't want to pick up anything new. You've got to give these a good shake. If you can't hear the little ball inside moving around, then you definitely haven't shaken it enough. And if you don't shake it enough, the colour comes out all weird. To get the best finish, you'll want to spray it on in thin layers. It can be really tempting to just spray it on all at once, but the paint starts to pool and it makes drips and it just looks awful. Usually spray paint dries fairly quickly anyway, so you're not going to be waiting too long in between sprays. I also opened and closed the mechanism on the arms in between sprays to make sure that I got into all of the crevices. Once it was fully dry, I had the fun of putting it all back together. The little rubber nose pieces I'd already put back on, and it just clips into place. I was really tempted to pick up a proper pair of cycling glasses a number of years ago. When I say a proper pair, this is a proper pair, it's just those were branded and they were very sexy and I really liked them. But from memory, I think they were about £150 and I just couldn't bear to part with that sort of money for a pair of sunglasses. It's also true that I'm not cycling long distances quite so much as I did before the pandemic. And so I probably made the right choice in keeping these ones and making them look a little bit fancier. There's another thing that is no longer driving me nuts. Well, this is a bit embarrassing, but I'm about to solve one of my problems with this pretty manky sponge. I cannot begin to tell you how much I love these sponges. This is a magic sponge. It's made of a material that is mildly abrasive. And what that means is that when you're rubbing it against a surface, it makes it a little bit easier to take off the dirt, the grime, the paint specks that you want to take off. And it works so remarkably well that it seems like magic. You can buy these from supermarkets, from many household names that you would probably have heard before. But you can also buy them from places like eBay for a fraction of the price, and it is the same material, without the fancy packaging, without the brand name. And I'm going to use this to scrape off some paint drips that I have on my windowsill. I wasn't very careful and I got some paint on my windowsill. I haven't been able to get it off. Let's see if we can do some magic. So this has been made slightly wet. They're usually a bit thicker than this and not quite, not quite so damaged. But let's see. Let me make this easier. I'm going to prop you on your own tripod. On that note, look at this. Brand new tripod. Very fancy. There we go. You're on your own special little tripod. Now, I tried a regular cloth with this. I tried a regular sponge. Honestly, I need to get out stocks and shares in this product because I talk about it so often. I probably make up like a fair bit of their company value. Oh, it just comes off so easily. It's amazing. These windows are actually really filthy. I might see if I can get off some of this dirt as well. It just falls off. I tell you what, I will put an affiliate link to these sponges. They sell them on Amazon as well, so I'll show you the ones that I bought last time. That already looks so much better. The other thing that I might have used on these bits of paint is the side of a blade. Something that just chips it off. Okay, I'm happy with that for now. Just want the main bits of paint off. But there we go. If that's new to you, cannot recommend it highly enough. This is what I was just talking to you about. You can use these to get off paint on glass panes like this. Say you've been painting it and you went a little bit over the lines. You can use this to just scrape it off. You can use these on UPVC. I find that you have to be very careful not to scratch the plastic. So I'll use these, but only at a pinch. I'm more likely to use the magic sponges. So there's another episode of DIYs in my house that have been
driving me nuts. And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe.